Bids.
I am right there.
Speak of the engineer.
Oh, good.
I believe we don't have any amendments to,
Yep, you've got the one ad.
Okay, I guess we do have 8H, Resolution 2022 approving lobbyist contract for the North Zumbro Sanitary District. Otherwise, I just need approval of the adoption of the agenda. Any further discussions? All in favor? Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Just need approval from the work session minutes of 3/17.
I'll make a motion to approve the work session here for 3/17.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0.
No, she has to abstain, she wasn't there.
That was, that was 3/31, she wasn't at. She was at the 3/17, right?
Oh, I
No.
was, yeah.
Yeah, you were
At the
at
work session?
But at the
You
work
weren't-
session.
On the work session.
She wasn't at the work session.
We're talking number 3, the work
Oh,
session.
we met 1 hour
We're on
before the
3,
council
not
meeting.
5.
Yeah, we're on 3. You weren't the one
Yeah,
with the
she
3/20.
was-
Oh, the 3/31.
Oh, yeah.
Just not 5.
Sorry.
So passes 5-0-0.
Oh, Tina, I'm hurt.
So now I just need the approval of the regular meeting minutes from March 17.
Now I gotta read those. Jeez. Also making a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes from March 17th.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0.
I'll second it, and then.
Oh, sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Just need approval of the work session meeting minutes from 3/31.
I'll make a motion to approve the work session meeting minutes from March 31st.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 4-0-1. Thank you. Accounts payable, Prigi.
Everything looks very, very normal, very low, which is good. But the largest ones we have are 77236 for XL Energy Solutions for solar credits at $4,985.04. And then XL Energy, the one right above that one for $3,494.99. Otherwise, everything looks good. So there's no questions. I'll make a motion to pass those accounts payable at $17,032.64.
Second.
Any questions for Prigi on accounts payable? It'll get bigger.
It'll be bigger next time, I swear.
We'll make up for
I
it.
was like, oh, I see all those tiny ones.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Thanks, Prigi. Public comments. Individuals may address the city council about any items of concern. Speakers must state their name and limit the remarks to 5 minutes. Any public comments? I will close public comments portion and we'll jump down to 8A. Capital Improvement Planning Partner, Mr. Bryan.
Yes, I think we're finally ready to make a recommendation for a capital improvement investment planning partner. We received the 2 quotes, one from David Brown and Associates, one from Ehlers. Both quotes were included in the previous 2 council packets, so I didn't include them again this time. Ehlers had a very comprehensive quote. We've got a relationship with Ehlers already. They know our finances. And so staff is recommending that we move forward with Ellers, and thank you to David John for their quote as well. He did a nice job and was very understandable as well, but we recommend moving forward with Ellers.
I'll second
Any further discussions? All in favor? Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Thanks, Brian. 8B, establish checking account for online transactions. Kimberly.
We are going to offer some Sign Up Genius for the swimming lessons. And to do so, we have to have a bank account tied to it. I don't want our big bank account tied to it in case something would go awry. So would like permission to set up a smaller bank account where we will just run those transactions through. The bank needs to have a motion on file in order for us to do that.
I'll make a motion to open up. Full sign up bank account.
Is that the only thing we'd use it for is the pool? Or is
We
there
may
other
use it
one?
for other payments like that, where people are putting money in. If it's directly linked to our account, like our one that we use for credit card payments, that comes through a service. So I don't have a problem with this, but when you get into some of these other things,
Yeah, I get
I
it.
feel better if we had a little more buffer.
Perfect. I would believe we had a first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Thanks, Kim. 8C, Jefferson tree removal. Mr. Olson.
The tree portion of Jefferson Drive project has to be completed before May 27th. For that reason, we bid it out now. And I got 3 quotes. One was from Northwoods Tree Service from Farmington for $47,200. Second quote was from Castle Rock Contracting and Tree Service for $42,950. And then the final quote was from Heartland Trees from Zumbrota for $19,999.90. So I would recommend taking a little bit on that. We are taking that money out of some of the tree budget and then some contingency.
I guess the only thing I would want to make clear that Brian and I talked about the purpose of these trees. Obviously, it's for the Jefferson project, but it's for a bass.
Long-eared bats.
Yeah, the long-eared bass. And I guess the state's making us do it.
Yeah, Bill can answer
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
We have to comply with the roosting window there's an endangered species located close enough to our project so that all tree removal, as Mike mentioned, has to be done by the end of May.
So they're not nested and then you knock their.
Correct. Yep, and the issue is we can't begin that until after we've bid and we have to have our grant agreement in place. So by the time we're worried by the time we get our grant agreement in place from the state, there would not be enough time and then we'd be shut down on removing any trees on the project, which would be a big problem.
That'd be funny. We have the road and there's a tree.
So that,
That's the tree.
so them trees have to be down by when? The 31st of May, was it, by the state requirement?
Yeah, end of May, correct.
and with the tree removal, with the lowest bid, where are those trees?
I don't understand. It's because
The 22 trees we can take to the brush site, and then the rest of them have to be moved off from site. The 1.25 acres of clearing and grubbing have to be removed.
They can't haul the big root ball to the brush dump.
Yeah, and actually the stumps and the root ball are gonna be left and the general contractor, as part of the Jefferson job, will remove those. You just gotta cut the tops of the trees down. But you're right, Brian, the root ball then will be disposed of by the contractor as part of the bid.
did we get a motion on that? Okay, you want to do a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Heartland Trees for the tree removal on Jefferson Drive.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Twice.
What?
Now that you going,
Can I just, so we're doing this outside of our $6 million project because it needs to be done quicker and there's not really a way to get to those dollars. We talked about a force account and some route like that, but that's just not gonna work, not gonna be quick enough. So that's why it's coming out of contingency and the tree dollars.
the contingency can get replenished with dollars after the grant dollars come through?
It cannot.
So part of that is going back, the money that we haven't spent in the tree fund for how many ever years, we didn't always use it up, got put into the contingency. So Kim was going back and finding out how much money was left from some of the tree budget in past years. So we just.
In the first place.
Yeah, and it's actually in the fund balance because we don't, things that we don't spend our amount in will end up in fund balance, kind of like you get extra in your checking account for your home when you don't spend everything you're anticipating, so.
But we figured that we need to get those out of there, so it's, it's a valid expenditure to.
Plus, I want to leave, we're leaving some money in that tree budget yet too, because I don't want to completely drain that. So.
Did we get a first and a second? All in favor? Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Thanks, Mike. 8D, Jefferson Drive reconstruction advertisement for bids. Bill?
Big day. So what we're asking the council to do tonight is to approve the plans and specifications and set our letting date for May 4th. So what you have in your packet is the advertisement for bids, which calls out the specific items. And the process will be on May 4th, we will open electronic bids at 2 o'clock, and that's on a Wednesday. And then the next day, the Thursday, the council will basically act on those bids. Now, the act on it part is because we have state bonding dollars, it's a little more complicated than a normal project. So what we will do on the 5th is, well, we have to make sure we get good prices, which I'll talk about in a little bit, but assume everything is in order, and we will award the bids contingent upon the execution of a grant agreement. So we kind of just mentioned with the bat removal is none of our grant agreement will be processed now until we have bids in hand, actual dollar amount. So we can't sign a contract with the state to get our grant dollars until we have a bid. So I'll be honest, it does kind of feel a little bit like a chicken or an egg situation. So, but that's the rules. So, and then that is anticipated that will take a couple weeks. So we'll award the bid on the 5th, a couple weeks, we'll get the grant agreement. The mayor and Brian will sign that, and then we'll give our contractor notice to proceed. And then depending upon their schedule, roughly you could say June 1st, June 15th, or whatever it would be, they would be starting on the project. And we have a contract completion date of December 2nd. That's what our date is. I want to talk a little bit about that before we talk a little about the plans. I am nervous about that date. What I'm nervous about is not that that's not enough time. What I'm nervous about is there is a material shortage, a supplier shortage of certain materials going on in the country, specifically around box culverts, ductile iron pipe. Those are the two probably main things on this project. So one of the things that the suppliers are telling us is like the box culvert there on Jefferson by the Mayo Clinic, by Mill Street, that there potentially is a 6-month lead time on that. So we were attempting, as Brian mentioned earlier, a force account. We were attempting to maybe potentially buy that earlier, but ultimately we couldn't get the approvals in time to do that. So it's just going to be part of the regular bid. So what we've talked about at the staff level is we will need to be flexible or potentially flexible with the low bidder. The flexibility would be that portion of Jefferson maybe doesn't get done this year, or maybe it doesn't get paved. Maybe the culvert gets put in late in the year and it gets paved next spring. So we're just gonna have to know that. And then, I don't know, it seems like random things lately have been coming up, shortages. Like people can't get castings for manholes, or they can't get valves. We just had a supplier quote us that they're 12 months out on ductile iron pipe. Another supplier said, no, it's 8 months. So it's kind of, it feels like it's changing day by day. So we just need to know that as we're going in, that material issues are impacting construction. So, but otherwise we're in a great spot. We have 160 sheets of plans that Brian, we decided to only put 4 of them in your packet. So, but otherwise, everything is coming together, and we've been having meetings with the public. We had our 2 public meetings. We've had individual public meetings with property owners that maybe were grading or doing their driveway or something more on their property. think we're where we need to be. We have a few property owners that we have to finalize a few what we call right of entries where we can build their driveway or a couple of retaining walls, but that's going according to plan. So we've got a couple plan sheets in your plan set here. Probably the biggest topic of discussion we've had, maybe other than individual, hey, what are you doing with my planter, sidewalk, tree, has been where's the path going? That was really our discussion. So the plan sheets that you have in your plan are just basically show where we cross the street. So we spent a lot of time, staff and our staff, kind of kick around, okay, what's the right spot? Now, you guys have heard this. This hasn't changed since the last public meeting, but I just wanted to take a little bit more time. So on this first sheet, which is plan sheet 64, actually, I may have changed the numbers, but in order of yours, where we start on West First there by the Benson property, we are starting on the west side. And so we continue on the west side, and that's what this is showing. We continue on the west side of the street all the way till we get to Mill Street. So Mill Street to the north end of the project, the path is on the west side. Okay, that in a normal project, you'd say if you could keep a sidewalk or a trail on one side for that long, that's a long way. So we think that's a reasonable, we don't have a lot of crossings. In this project, we had to build some retaining walls. We had to do some different things to accommodate that. And that seemed pretty reasonable. But at Mill Street then, we run out of room on that west side. Where the culvert goes through, it dips way down. We have some wetlands there. So really, it's no longer prudent to stay on the west side. In addition to that, if we did build a bridge, for example, through there, now we'd be in front of the ambulance, garage. We'd be in front of the fire station. We'd prefer to not be on that side. So that was kind of a secondary reason. So now, we've switched over to the east side. And that's what that second plan sheet shows, that Mill Street, we're crossing the street. And then we still have that same wetland issue, et cetera. That's the one spot on the project there, if you know where the Stensland's house there on the corner of Mill is, that trail is going to be right on the back of the curb. Again, because we don't have a lot of room and we have some wetlands and some steep slope. But once we get through that area, then as we continue on down, then we're further back away from the road. That's what that last sheet shows is our last crossing. And our last crossing is at Main Street. So at Main Street, we switch back to the west side, and then we're going to basically be on the Quick Trip side the rest of the way. So we did have a couple people at our last public meeting say, why aren't you staying on Bob's side, in essence? Well, the issue is once we get further to the south again, we get towards the Benson property, we have wetlands again that we need to avoid. So if we were going to say stay and go through where Prigge Carpet is there, we would be crossing the road basically where the Lutheran Church, the old Dairy Queen was there. We'd be crossing mid-block, and we did not think that was a good place to cross. Generally speaking, we try to cross at intersections if we can. So we're gonna, and then the other part is most of the pedestrian traffic through here is going to be going to the Quick Trip, so that if we were on that side, we'd have people just crossing, mid-block. So those are the three crossings, where we go back and forth, Mill, and then at Main Street. And then, once we, get past Main Street, Quick Trip, it continues all the way down to Dubuque. We're staying on that west side. So I just kind of wanted to highlight that since, again, that seems to be what we have the most questions about. So other than that, the project is, evolved in some ways, but for the most part, it's stayed true to form. And for those of you that were at the public meetings, it really is pretty consistent with what we presented to the public in January. So with that, I don't know, Brian or Mike, if there's anything, we've had so many discussions, I'm not even sure what, what should we talk about more, but we leave it brief, and then if there's something else you wanted to cover, we could, or if any questions.
Yeah, no, I think that covers it pretty well. We've had comments at the public meetings, multiple public meetings. Tried to address them either by making small changes or explaining why the trail is where it is. That's been the biggest thing. The crossing, multiple crossings, that's the other comment we hear. But there's not really a way to do it without crossing a few times. The Mill Street crossing is all stop signs, so that's good. Main Street, We can't really control that. We've tried that before. But it'll be signed well and crosswalks, painted crosswalks there.
Are we gonna get flashing ones there on Main
Well,
Street?
we talked about that. Those run about $40,000, Bill, you said on the last installation. So, we can continue to talk about that at Main Street for sure, and possibly at the other crossing on Jefferson as well. On the other end of Jefferson. But, those are things too that we can put in at some point, depending on where we're at with dollars and what we got and whatever we desire at that point. So, but that has been discussed as well. I don't think the state's gonna have an issue. Well, no, we put them on Main Street anyway, so yeah.
We're not, so my only really comment or concern about where the trail is there is there's so much traffic that comes, through that Quick Trip entrance exit, on and off a highway versus the other side of the road that has Beverly East Avenue.
Yeah, so,
There's
yeah.
not as much turning.
Yeah, because what we're kind of weighing is then, if we'll just use the church and pre-carpet side, if people are going to Quick Trip, they're just going to be crossing more randomly, or what intersect, because there's multiple driveways into Quick Trip, which driveway are they crossing at? And then once you got to the end of the church property, well, then you'd be crossing there, kind of in the
But
mid
there's
block.
much less traffic there than there is semis coming in and out of two
Correct.
corners of.
Correct.
The trail back at those 3 Quick Trip exits or entrances. The trail kind of bumps back around to get away from the turning radius, so it's a little bit farther back on, to the,
On the
Right
Quick
to the edge
Trip,
of
further
the
on the
right-of-way,
Quick
yeah.
Trip's property, correct, yep.
yeah. So that helps. It's not in the wider area.
Right.
Yeah, those are one of them. Yeah, we talked about that. That was a comment we had at the last
Just a
meeting.
tough one where they turn and then cross to go over to Verizon there and stuff. It's just they sit at that stop sign and it's the second they get to go, they go
Oh, for sure.
like a banshee. So it just scares That's scary.
Go the other way. Come in and go out.
through the roundabout.
Through
Yeah.
the roundabout.
I
In my opinion,
think ideally,
my non-engineering opinion.
I think ideally the answer is we have a roundabout there,
Yes,
Well,
let's
so
work on that.
we are.
Okay,
So,
perfect.
well, I say we are, we're pushing the people that would make the decision. So that would be a state decision, but we have initiated discussions with them, so.
Okay, good.
Fire that road up, so they might as well do it right now. The water main break.
And push that. Is there a tentative timeframe that it could actually be?
Not at this point. Generally speaking, their process is 3 to 5 years
Okay.
to do something, so. But we don't have anything beyond the initial, well, we have had more than initial, beyond our couple discussions with them, so. But we'd all like to see that, so.
Here's a question that Brian and I discussed a little bit, because the deadlines are due, or the bids are due May 4th. We want approval on May 5th on the deadline, or on council that night.
Correct.
For some crazy reason, we know how prices have gone with materials. Let's say the lowest bid comes in at $7.5 million or more, which it's not going to surprise me if it does, just because of the materials and stuff like that. What is that going to do with the process? Because we're going to have to figure out what we're going to do with that other $1.5 million.
Yep.
Is there such a tight time frame that do we have to prove it on the 5th or to get this process going?
We could
Or have to scale it back or try to find that money? I mean, where are we at?
We could do a couple different things. First and foremost, you could table it to the next meeting.
Are we going to hurt timeframes on any of that?
So that would, once we open the bids, we can still, move forward with the grant agreement. So that can be independent of awarding it on the 5th, but, so we can table it to the, whatever, 19th.
I have a suggestion. Tina and I are both going to be gone at that meeting. Do we want to shift meetings?
To the 12th, is that when you're going to the Derby, whatever?
On the 5th.
On the 5th, you both will be
That's
gone?
Kentucky Derby.
I'm just saying,
Only
would that
the most
help that? And then
prestigious
you're not
race in the
waiting
country.
2 weeks, but just.
Which is another subject. We could move council to the 12th and the 26th.
on the grant agreement, because then that would,
Well, because you want the grant agreement.
well, we got to get that to the state to get their thing as soon as possible. I think if it was
You have to be at that meeting.
straightforward, then there's not an
If it
issue.
comes in at 5.6 million, we have nothing to worry about.
Then we're awarding the contract. If it comes in at 7 million,
What if it comes in at 6.2? I mean, we still have some answers, some questions to answer, correct?
then we can table it. But if it's straightforward, we award it. If not, we table it. If it's, Brian, don't keel over. If it's 10 million, or something really crazy, which I don't think it would be, but say it is, well, then we're saying, okay, do we rebid it and delay the project?
We can do that.
Yeah, we can, yeah. The grant agreement, the original, request, we have 4 years to spend the
Okay,
dollars.
good.
And
So-
this is year 2?
Correct. So we have choices.
Okay.
We prefer not to use them, but we have choices.
I mean, and I agree, but I'm just, with everything and talking to other engineers and builders, that everything's more expensive, that
Right.
I don't want it to be a shocker, and then we have to make a decision in a day and a half. That could
Correct.
slow things up, so I guess.
Yep. So you're going to have some choices. The other thing, I mean, realistically, in the next month, I really hope, gas prices, just some things in the world stabilize. We don't, Russia doesn't decide to attack someone else. I mean, we just need some calm. And hopefully that'll straighten out some of our supply chain stuff, or they'll at least settle down a little bit. But it may not, well, it won't settle down enough that it's not going to be higher prices already, but we just don't want any worse.
You have some buffer in there, but
So by the way, so what we did is, we have quantities, so we pay everything by the foot, the each or whatever. So we took our last bid, which was 3 weeks ago or so. We plugged in all the bids from that project, plugged them into this project, put them through our spreadsheet, and we came at 5.22 million.
and that's what I'm hoping at, but I just.
Right. So by the way, and then with the engineering continue, that puts it almost exactly at 6 million. Now, I'm knocking on wood because I want to jinx myself and all that, because not everything's the same, but if we're over, I'm hoping it's, 10% over, not whatever number you said
Yeah,
there, so,
okay.
yeah.
So any action by the council on the 5th will kick loose the grant agreement,
That's correct,
even tabling.
correct.
Okay, so some sort of action, no matter what, on the
Yep.
5th.
Would there be a possibility, Bill, if we get the funds, we approve the contract and they want to start, but they can't get the supplies that they need to do this project, would that postpone things to even start the project?
Probably not to start, because the first thing, they're gonna do is they're gonna break up the old pavement, rubbleize it, haul that out, start grading, and all that is machines and equipment that people have. So the intent is that they will be able to start removals and grading and all that, while they're getting all their other items ordered. So,
Would they know in advance that they might not be able to get certain material for piping and things like that before they even start, once they would even order it?
in a normal world, I'd say yes, but right now, the contractors we're talking to are saying nobody is guaranteeing prices beyond like 2 days. So literally, when they turn a bid in, they got to sign a contract immediately. So what'll happen is on the 4th, as we're getting bids, they will finalize their prices that morning. We'll do it the next day. They'll lock their prices in on Friday for some, deviation of that. That's partly why we're trying to make it snappy too, so that we don't have a lot of time elapse.
Any more questions for Bill? So I guess I just need a motion and a second to advertise the bids. Any further discussions? All in favor? Opposed? Passes 5-0. So thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
8E, garbage cleanup along Jefferson. Mike?
Just looking for approval to hire STS if anybody's been up across from the trailer park up by Quick Trip, there's just lots and lots of garbage. And now there's a storage shed up there that's blown over, I'm sure, from the December storm. And generally speaking, I don't think this should revert back to the city, but being the trees have to be taken out along there and it's kind of short time notice, I'd like to be able to contract with STS to remove the garbage, and we'd have to supply a dumpster there for them too.
Make a motion to approve that.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Thanks, Mike. 8F, Resolution 2022-09, Public Safety Road Radio Communication System Equipment Grant. Brian?
That's a mouthful. Okay, yeah, so we begin our resolution part of the meeting here. 3 of them in a row. This one has to do with the radios, for first responders, ambulance, EMS, fire. Last September, and I put this in my memo, but last September, the communities in Goodhue County requested that the Goodhue County appropriate some of their ARPA dollars towards replacement of these radios. These radios were bought with federal grants, state and federal grants many years ago, and they're now outdated and they're incredibly expensive to update. And so the county decided they were not going to fund use their ARPA funds on those radios. But then a couple of bills were introduced at the legislature. House File 2821 and Senate File 2670, which provides an avenue for funding these radio purchases. And we've been asked to consider a resolution in support of that, that I will pass along to the authors of the bills. Let's see. And then also to our local legislators as well. That's basically in a nutshell without reading the whole thing.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2022. Nope.
No, you're 9, you're right, yeah.
You have to do a roll call.
Oh, on that one? Oh, yeah, that's right, I forgot. Good call, thank you. I don't know if it's ambulance too. Second? I think so. All in favor? Sarah?
Aye.
Tina?
Aye.
Chris?
Can we vote on this one? Yes.
Yeah.
Then aye.
Bob? And I. Opposed? I guess,
It'll be posted.
yeah.
Good.
Passes 5-0-0. Sorry, brain fart.
Who was the second? Tina was,
Tina.
oh. Okay, I have to get that on there.
Thanks, Brian. We'll go to 8G, Resolution 2022-10, Support for Statewide PTSD Funding. Brian?
Yeah, I think I titled that one wrong. This is more of a, notes here. The League of Minnesota Cities is requesting cities consider a resolution on this. This is more of the PTSD stuff. They're seeing so much PTSD. And they want to have some avenues for some education, early education, some preemptive things, and some funding to accomplish that. There's some things there's some provisions in there, requirements for treatment of PTSD before an employee can file for a deputy disability. So, rule that PTSD out before disability, and some modified benefits for people considering modified benefits for people who recover partially or totally from the PTSD. And there's some reimbursement for employers in there. I provided a information sheet for you that gives a pretty good summary of what it is. Fully reimburse employees for the cost of continued health insurance benefits for disabled employees or dependents of those killed in line duty, or if the employee has implemented mental health or mental injury prevention measures. So some of those type of things. But again, more of the PTSD and the trying to help with that, educate ahead of that, and provide more avenues for cities to work with that. I guess is the best way to describe it. But again, this came from the League of Minnesota Cities, and periodically they'll send out requests for cities to consider these types of things.
Approve resolution 2022-10.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Sarah?
Aye.
Tina? Chris?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
And I passes 5-0-0. Thanks, Brian. 8H, Resolution 2022-11, approving lobbyist contract for North Zumbro Sanitary District.
Yes, the sanitary district, full committee and legislative committee met to consider hiring a lobbyist to act on our behalf up at the Capitol. They're a daily voice for us, eyes and ears for us at the Capitol. They keep us up to date on what's going on up there. If they need anybody up there, they'll push for hearings for our bills. So we were happy. We interviewed 2 different companies, and the second company was phenomenal, Winthrop and Weinstein. And so as a committee, as a full committee, we decided to go ahead and contract with them. So they are doing work for us now up there. They also work very closely with the Prairie Island community. And then so they're kind of working in conjunction with the tribal council and the Prairie Island community to doing lobbying efforts for us up there. The resolution is just to formalize the agreement and to contract with them. And I also included the engagement letter, which acts as the contract, which we've already signed to get them going. It comes with a cost of about exactly $4,500 per community. Which in the scope of a $84 million project is pretty good. They're going to do a lot of work for us for less money than the other company we interviewed. We're going to have 3, was it 3 or 4? 3. 3 individuals working for us on this. So we were happy to be able to get that going, and we're just looking for approval of the resolution to formalize the agreement.
You have the resolution as 1. I think you meant 11.
Oop. God, I was doing so good too.
Just notice that.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Yes, I'll get that corrected before we do the final signatures on there.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2022-11.
Yes.
Second.
All in favor? Sarah?
Aye.
Tina?
Aye.
Chris? Bob? And I passes 5-0-0.
That was an aye.
Aye. Thanks, Brian. Reports, Brian.
Let's see. Next month, we're going to be bringing the lawn, or no, we can't do it till May 5th. We're going to bring the lawn irrigation ordinance to council for approval at that meeting. I need to get that in the, you guys.
I don't think you can approve an ordinance with only 3 of them here.
You're right, we need a unanimous, or we need a majority, we need a majority vote.
Bachelor.
On an ordinance, we need a majority vote, so.
We only need, ordinance only needs 3?
So if there's 3 here,
Then you're good.
If it's full council, but if there's only 3 here, then it has to be unanimous, right?
it would have to, because it can still be a majority.
Okay.
So, because we'd like to get that in place, and I can't do it next meeting because there's a posting required. I have to publish it in the paper 10 days before the next, let me think about that now.
That pre-posting requirement, I don't know if it needs to be in the paper, but you can put it on the website and post it here, right? Or do you do it in the paper?
I was reading, oh, sure, I didn't bring that in with me, I don't think. Oh, yeah, I did. So, requires home rule charge, at least 10 days. Oh, yeah, provide notice. At least 10 days before the council meeting at which will be considered. If the city has electronic notification system that distributes general city information, we can use that. Okay. So I can.
Post it tomorrow.
You
But
can
after
put
it's
it on.
approved, we can do a summary ordinance.
Right, but we don't.
Want to publish that whole, right?
Yeah, but will we have final word? I think that was what I was thinking. Will we have final wording on that? Because we still had a couple things we wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
So I'd have to do that, 10 days out, so that gives us a little bit of time. Not gonna get us past tax season, but.
Yeah, if you posted it by Monday, 10 days would be that Wednesday before.
Yeah, I just couldn't get it in the paper quick enough because we missed this one and the next one. Okay, so why don't we bring that in April, then the second meeting in April, and I will get that we'll get the language out there electronically and on the bulletin boards. And then we've met the requirements of that. It's not going to be a big controversial one anyway. It's requirements that have been out there in other cities for a long time, and we're catching up, so. Okay, good, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. Yep, sanitary district, we spoke about the lobbyist. Also Mayor David Freese from Pine Island and I attended the SEMLEM, Southeast Minnesota League of Municipalities meeting a week ago to see if we can get on their priority list. We got a chance to talk to quite a few area community members or council members and some mayors about our effort and passed out some information, our one page for others who might be interested in following the same type of a model. So that was good. Representative Haley wrote another bill for us using the GO bonds, going through the bonding process. The previous bill was the one utilizing federal infrastructure dollars. So, and then Senator Goggin is going to be the chief author in the Senate, and we think that Senator Senjum and Jasinski are going to be the co-authors of that one on the Senate side. Also, at the next council meeting, just to give you a heads up, we're gonna try and bring the additional 2 days of a CETA person to the next council meeting with some dollars and a request, probably an ARPA request for some money to go towards that, so we can grow it into our budget. And along with, we'll use permit fees, excess permit fees. Well, not excess. We'll use permit fees for that. And then at some point, I was thinking next meeting we might come forward with an ARPA request for getting our public works capital equipment schedule to where it needs to be so it can be solvent. So anyway, a couple things for the next meeting possibly.
That's all your updates?
Yeah, should I get some more? What else? Todd's gonna handle that one.
Okay.
Or you can handle it too. Matt?
Let's see, so. Oh,
We're just at reports, so.
Yeah, you could go.
okay.
Oh.
What time is it?
The radio right there.
So it was about, I don't know, more than a month ago. I took some pictures of the Benson property because there was getting to be some issues with the fence and emailed it to his attorney, and the mayor told me that at least some of it's been repaired. So that's going to be a constant ongoing thing, I believe. The other thing is on the Seams property, more junk accumulating and things, and the city's been receiving complaints, and there's a motion hearing scheduled for May 2nd to appoint what's called a guardian ad litem. That's going to be somebody else who would represent Mr. Seams' interests. So once, assuming the judge will do that, then hopefully we'll have somebody that we can deal with directly on it, and maybe we can avoid going down the road of getting a court order if this person can have some influence, but that remains to be seen. That's all I have.
Thanks, Matt. Bill?
Two quick items. One of these I might be stealing Dylan's thunder. So just two school items. So the school, the ZM schools did submit, they bought the property across from Zumbrota Health Services. They did submit a plan for a new parking lot there that we're currently reviewing. We actually sent it back for some revisions. So I'm anticipating that'll be a staff approval versus coming back to the council with just a heads up on that. Second one, I'll steal Dylan's thunder, is I actually came from a meeting with Christ Lutheran as a new engineer. So came from a meeting to discuss them moving forward on their project. So that probably at some point means Todd and Bob are our committee on that, or council members on the committee, as well as Mike and Dylan Bryan. We're probably going to need to reconvene and start tackling some of the city side of those things. But that's interesting, good thing. So I think that's probably it, or that's enough with Jefferson. So thanks, Mayor.
Bill? Chief?
Just one thing, I got back from Duluth, I was up at the Chiefs Conference this week and pretty heavy on the atmosphere of the law enforcement community and different things going on. It was very well attended and brought in some really great speakers. I was really impressed with what went on, but it was pretty heavy. But well worth the experience. So other than that, I don't have anything else.
Thanks, Chief. Dylan?
Next week, Olmsted County Government, their housing department they're having an affordable housing summit. It's going to be in Rochester from about 8 to noon. So government representatives nearby are welcome to come if you guys are interested in learning more about resources available for home construction, programs available, and to network with some of these developers. And their aim is to find more affordability with some of these new homes, and just because of the prices. So they're having a summit. So I'll be going to that too, and I can give a report when I'm back as well, but just extending the invite.
That's it, Dylan? Thanks, sir. Kim?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
I just had a couple things. We were looking at doing some mill and overlays in town here. I got the library. I've got a street up there at Woodlands. I got the alley between 3rd and 4th behind Roxanne's. And then we've got the Veterans Memorial we're going to pave. And those prices, kind of like anything else, are pretty vulnerable right now. But and I don't think there's enough money in there, but I'm going to work with Kim to find some money. It'd be nice to get those projects done. Then working forward for next year, I'd like to get into some of the chip sealing, crack sealing again. So I probably going to be looking at trying to increase that budget a little bit for next when we work through the budgets here. But it's kind of important to keep on track with some of that stuff too. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Without looking, Mike, what are you budgeted right now for your chip?
85,000.
85,000.
What do you think's gonna jump for that? That's the question.
170,000.
Yeah, right, double.
Oh, I'm sure we could, right now, we could probably, well, I wouldn't even want to speculate.
There's enough guys to do it right now.
Perfect, thanks, Mike. I have one thing, Councilmember Tina and myself and Dylan and Brian met with Senator Tina Smith last Friday to talk about, and some of her staff, about her, the grant that we got for the water looping. I thought was a good visit. Tina got to talk about the wastewater treatment, which she was aware of and was really for it, I would say. So I thought it was a good meeting, and want to thank Tina and Dylan and Brian for being there. So yeah, Tina or Sarah, sorry, looking at
I'm good, thanks.
Yeah.
Mayor. No, you covered Friday's event, so that was kind of nice to have a senator in town, though she was looking for a brewery, so
Yeah.
Yes.
anybody has a new business venture.
She likes her breweries. Perfect. Chris?
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Bob? Meeting adjourned.